Hello and welcome. Today I decided to make a small round little journal and I'm using things that I'm showing you there. I'm going to glue some book pages to this drawing paper, which is a 70-pound drawing paper. I am going to tear some sheets out and then use my matte medium to glue down some torn book pages. I decided I wanted a very neutral background with the book pages, a sort of vintage, scruffy look, and I have those leaves and flowers that I have traced onto wet strength tissue paper. I had already made those for another project, but they didn't work out, so I thought, well, I'll use them for this project. So you can see I'm just trying to vary my shades of beige there, tearing different sizes of book pages, different shades of beige, as I said, and just kind of rearranging them in different orientations. It doesn't really matter because I'm going to cut these down, but I do want to make it as interesting as possible in the background because I'm planning for my book pages to show through. So I'm going to continue doing this process for several pages. I'm putting matte medium under and over the top of the book pages. And there you can see I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I believe, if I counted properly. Sorry, I'm doing this voiceover a few days after I finish my project. I'm going to cover all the pages with a light coat of gesso because I want the book pages to show through, but I don't want them to be that obvious and not show up that much in the background. So I'm going to scrape on the gesso there. I'm using like a hotel key card or credit card type of thing to do it quickly because I'm all into quickness. I wanted to have these, as I said, have a vintage, neutral, brown and beige sort of background with the leaves and flowers that I have on the tissue paper in black. And that was the idea I had in mind. So I'm going to use this high flow, golden high flow acrylic. In sepia is the color, and I really like using that for vintage looks. And I like it because it is permanent once you dry it, unlike a lot of sprays that have that same kind of color. So if that makes sense, hopefully that makes sense. And again, I want my book pages to show through a little bit, so I'm blotting some of that back a little. Kind of want it like that, look messy. I'm going to do that to all my pages and let those dry and come back to the next step. But I guess I'm going to show you one more page, and this is quite a messy process, but it's fun too. And I'm moving fast, as you can see there. I have obviously increased this video to double speed, I think it is, because I didn't want it to be too long. Okay, so instead of the first template I showed at the beginning of the video, I pulled out this circle that I have, and you can see how precisely I'm measuring. I'm just eyeballing it and folding it in half, and then I'm going to cut it that way to have a little straight part on the side, on the left side there, so that will be my spine. I pulled out this circle because I thought I would be able to cut it with that little tool that I'm showing you. That's an old, many years old thing that I have from, I think it's Stampin' Up or something like that from my scrapbooking days, and the blade is not sharp at all. It didn't work, so I'm just going to trace the circles because it's the size that I want, and then I'm going to cut them out of each of my papers. So the circles won't be perfect, and I'm okay with that. If I was doing this you know, if I wanted the circles to be more perfect, I would use a big round circle punch that I have, but I didn't have the right size for those leaf and flower images that I have. So this is the way I decided to do it, and it's absolutely fine. So I'm going to use that one to trace all the rest of them, and then I'll come back. They are not perfect, and I can you know, adjust and trim later, which you'll see me do a little bit of. So I'm going to show you how I do a couple of those, and then um, I'll show you when I have all my pieces. I didn't really count precisely, so um, I just made as many as I could and decided that was enough for my little booklet. Okay, there are all my circles. And then I have to do another thing. I want the cover, the front and back cover, to be a little stronger, sturdier than the papers. So I am going to cut out a circle, just one circle. I'm not going to fold it, for the front and one for the back. And out of that like granola bar sort of box, it could be like a cereal box, anything like that. I'm going to cover that, cut those out, and then I'm going to, I was saying I was going to cover them with gesso, but no, I'm going to glue them to another piece of my background that I cut out. I didn't show that on camera, just single pieces that I cut out of my background. And then I will attach those, as you can see, to the front and back, the pieces that I'm going to use for the front and back cover. And you'll see how I put that all together coming up very shortly. And I'm going to put it all together and turn it into a little book. So that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to put these pieces together and glue it, and then you can see how I'll have a front and back cover. I'll have a little bit of a spine. I am just making sure my pieces are right side up, the book pages, because I don't mind a few pieces being, the wording on the book pages being upside down, but for the most part I like to stay to have them right side up for whatever reason. So I was thinking about, I was going to stamp, as you can see there, I pulled out a couple of stamps to my left and right, but I really thought, I'm putting them away because I really thought that would be too busy. So instead, I decided to use this Lindy's Stamp Gang spray, and I'm to add to my background, and that's going to be it for the background. I think with the book pages and that spray, it's plenty of interest. I don't want it to get too cluttered up. That spray is a really nice spray. It's called Moon Shadow Mist. I have had it for years and years and years. I don't use my sprays very often, and so I don't know if they still make this color or what, but it's a pretty color, and a lot of these Lindy's Stamp Gang sprays have a little bit of shimmer to them too, which hopefully you'll see later on when it dries and I put it all together. There you go. You can see it a little bit. Okay, so I have done that to all my pieces, and now I'm going to glue them together. And I'm just arranging them, again, just making sure the book pages are right side up, and putting them together in really no particular order. And you can see I have quite a few of those, so it'll make a nice little sized book. And then I'm going to, again, start assembling. So with the cover, trying to decide which is the front, which is the back. With the cover, I was going to use my glue stick. I do use my glue stick. But I do end up using, I think I end up using my Fabri-Tac glue a little bit. No, not Fabri-Tac, excuse me, my Art Glitter Dries Clear glue. It's similar to, kind of similar to Fabri-Tac if you have stronger glue like that. That works better for the cover because of the cardboard. And you can see there that I have to trim. I have to trim a lot of the pieces. And they're not, like I said before, they're not all perfect, but they look fine. You'll see in the end I'm okay with the wonkiness. I'm okay with the imperfections. I'm going to not only glue all those pieces together, but I'm going to edge all of them with the brown distress ink because I really like that look. And later I'll do some more to the edges to kind of hide the wonkiness a little bit and the unevenness. So the papers are, I feel like my glue stick is strong enough to hold my papers together, and they're kind of trying to escape, but I'm just showing you there how I put them all together. And you can see that they're not perfectly aligned, but again later I'm going to trim those to be a little more even with each other, and you'll see that as I go along. So the key with glue sticks is you really have to make sure you apply enough glue and then press it down with your hands to make sure that it adheres well. I have not had a problem with the Uhu glue sticks that I use. I use them on the lighter weight papers and even some fabrics that I attach to paper. If I have heavier pieces, I do use a stronger glue. But for paper, I really like to use a glue stick if possible. It doesn't make your paper buckle like the wet glues. Okay, so I guess I did use my Fabri-Tac. Oh gosh, I couldn't remember. I'm just showing you how my book looks and how it has a few areas that I need to trim. I'm going to attach the back cover with the Fabri-Tac. I think I may be, oh, and I'm using all kinds of glues there. Using that one just because it's easier with the small tip to add the glue into there where it didn't adhere well. Sometimes when I'm gluing, I think I have enough glue on the edges, but I'm almost always have to add more glue on the edges of things. So that's not really a glue stick issue. That's any kind of gluing with me anyway. So I decided to use the Fabri-Tac glue on the back cover. That's a really strong glue. It's great to use. And you can see how my little book is coming together. It has a little bit of a spine. I really like the way it looks so far. It looks so cute. The spine is not even, and I decided later on, which you'll see, to cover it with a little bit of fabric and the lacy thing. Originally, I had thought to paint it. I had this idea that I was going to add gold around the edges and gold paint on the spine, which I've done with little mini books before, but I ended up doing something different, so you'll see. Again, I'm showing you my little book. I've trimmed it a bit here and there. Now I'm going to start decorating it, and I believe I decided, I'm going to edge with the brown distress ink also. But just talking about the spine, thinking about painting it, but it turned out to be a little more uneven than I would like, so I'm going to cover it up with some fabric. Anyway, I've pulled out my tissue paper images and some labels that I have already printed out, so I just pulled some out that I thought might work with this project, and I decided to leave the front cover for last. Sometimes I do the front cover first and sometimes I do it last, just depends on how I feel that day. So that's how I'm going to decorate each page. Each page will have a different floral or leaf image, and as you can see there, I've pulled out more little labels. Some of them have bugs and butterflies, and some of the labels just have writing on them. And excuse me, I just I don't know, I just look at it and see what I think looks good. I'm going to use the matte medium to attach my tissue paper images, and I'm going to put matte medium under and over the images, and it really makes that tissue paper almost disappear into the background. And I used obviously a permanent marker to trace those images so they wouldn't smear. and I really like the way that looks. And then I'm planning to just add a word or so there, something like a word. And that's it. I had this idea in mind to make this style simple. So I didn't want to add any more things. Now, I could, you can add a lot more things like postage stamps, more words, more, labels. I mean, you could do lots of things, but this is the style that I decided on, and I wanted to keep it somewhat simple. Again, my background is pretty, I think it's pretty busy and has enough interest there. So I'm just showing you a couple of pages that I'm doing, and then I'm going to do all the rest of the pages the same, including the front cover. And I'm not planning to decorate the back cover at all. So I have to let those dry in between. There you have it. I'll show you, I'll do a little flip through at the end of all the pages. So again, I'm just going to edge all of the pages front and back with the brown distress ink. Okay, so I've done that, and the next thing, oh, I'm decorating the cover, sorry. I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember what the heck I'm saying there. I'm just trying to figure out what to use on the front cover. I have a little container with strips and leftover little pieces of fabric and all kinds of stuff. So I had that little strip of fabric, and it just so happens it's just the right size to use there. So it goes with my neutral theme. And then I thought to add a little interest, I would add that little snippet, which I also had just like that in my little container. So it just seemed like it was meant to be. So I glued that on first. I really should have edged the book with my paint first, but I do that later, and I just have to be really careful about not getting it on that fabric. And I decided to add the lacy bit on later. I don't know, I guess I realized I shouldn't have stuck on the first part yet, but I did anyway. And you can see there that that fabric's pretty thin, so I used my glue stick to attach the fabric. And it's several days later that I'm doing this voiceover, and it's absolutely fine. It's not coming off at all. So on the cover, I decided to use one floral image, and then I'll have a word. So that's my next. I can't remember now if I'm going to edge with paint or add the words next, but I like to do things that way, just kind of take it one step at a time. I'll tell you what, I had in mind that I was going to edge all the pages with gold and paint the spine gold. That was before I put it all together. And I really wanted to use gold. I just love a bit of gold, even on vintage projects. But I realized that a dark brown or black would be much better. So there we go. I'm using... I think I ended up using black. Yeah, that looks like black paint. Because it looks better with the black floral and leaf images, obviously. The gold doesn't really relate to anything in my booklet. I just like using gold. So there you go. I'm going to just edge all the pages very carefully. I have to let each one dry before I do the next one, so I'll be back after I do all that. And I don't want to get any paint on that fabric. I have to be careful that I don't transfer the paint from my fingers onto the pages where I don't want it. And those are the words I'm showing you that I'm going to use for each page. Okay, it's the next day. I wanted to add some stitching on the cover, but I was too tired at the end of the day yesterday to do it. So this morning, with new energy, I poked some holes in the back with an awl so I could add the stitching on there. If I had thought to do it, you know, before I attached all this stuff, I could have, you know, it wouldn't show there, but I actually don't mind it there. I think it adds a nice little touch. So here's my journal. I'm really pleased with the way it turned out because it's really the way I envisioned it, which is unusual. Things don't always turn out the way I envision them in my mind sometimes. And I really like the way that turned out. Now, some of the tissue is very white now. I might go back and add a little bit more of that brown high flow color, just very carefully with the brush here and there, because I don't want to ruin my flowers either. So I really like it. Again, I'm pleased with it. It's a little wobbly, but overall I really like it a lot. And I'm going to take a marker and touch up a few, like that little spot there if it needs any. It doesn't really need a lot, but anyway, I really enjoyed this little project. I hope you liked it too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.